Hey guys, we are here with Pixie this afternoon. Okay, Pixie heads home this afternoon, so I just wanted to go over a couple quick things. I know I've said this in the other video, but always good to have those reminders. Things that you really want to remember when you're working with her is that giving your dog mental stimulation on a daily basis is crucial to how you're going to see a change in their mental behavior and their, just their behavior in general. If you don't work with them and give them a task to do and, give them things to work on a daily basis, she's going to find an outlet for that. And it's typically going to be, excessive behavior or tearing up things or just getting into stuff, whatever their outlet may be, just for being bored. So when you start to see those kind of behaviors, that's a good indicator that your dog needs mental stimulation, and it's a good time to either work on some placing or sit stays or recalls, or working on taking a walk together. Doing a really good structured heel is great because you're not only working on giving her physical exercise, you're also working on mental stimulation by doing a lot of direction changes, pace changes, and just stops like that. So, okay, heel. A lot of people think that going the faster you go, better. So if your dog's trying to get ahead of you like this, don't try and beat her, right? Don't be like, oh, I gotta walk a little faster to get ahead of her. In fact, do the opposite. Look, if I slow down, she slowed down, but she's still way ahead of me, right? So I slowed down, I gave her those little pops, just as a reminder, hey, slow down a little. The slower you go, it's actually a little bit more challenging. So right there, she didn't notice that I turned, right? So instead of using the leash to communicate with her, I just gave her a little click to kind of remind her, hey, look at me, right? So those left-hand turns are great because you're going to kind of cut her off and she's going to realize, ooh, I got to focus. The right-hand turns are good because it's going to help you practice not choking up on your leash. Good girl. Okay, but kind of holding it loose and just giving her a little pop when needed. The pops are very light. Don't forget that it is more important to practice red lights with her, especially when she first comes home, than it is to practice yellow lights, which are pops. A pop is a reminder to not break the invisible box. If your dog does not know where your invisible box is, you're making it kind of challenging on them to say, hey, don't break a barrier that I haven't taught you. So she completely understands barriers, not only working with me, but my husband and my sister have all walked with her. So she's worked with multiple handlers. So at this point, it's just going to be up to you kind of learning when you're supposed to give corrections and how consistent you really need to be. If you let her pass you sometimes and other times you give her corrections, you're not being a consistent handler, so she's not going to give you consistent results. You have to make sure if she gets ahead of you anytime, especially in the beginning, it is more important to practice those red lights and tell her, calm down, we're doing things a different way now. Okay, so the pop is just a reminder that you're not really paying attention. It just means focus. A solid red light means calm down. You need to relax and focus on your handler right now, not all of the distractions around you. If she's not focusing on you when she's in this position, she's definitely not going to be focusing on you when you're taking a walk and a dog passes by or whatever it may be. Right? So practicing this is really important. She's getting mental stimulation doing this right now because she has to remind herself every time she wants to just pop up like she's used to doing. Right there, she almost did it. Right? So I'm going to give her a reminder, some verbal praise. Good girl, honey. Heel. And I got her attention before I started moving. Now, right there, she started to take off a little bit fast. So I gave her just that little pop just to kind of say, oh, no, calm down, before she broke the barrier. Right? So turns, pop. Right? So just pops to say, hey, focus. Not pulls ever. Never, ever, ever pull her. Also, never, ever move forward when there's pressure. The whole goal behind loose leash heeling is having a loose leash. If you reinforce that when there's pressure on the leash and you still get to move forward, that's what you're reinforcing to her, and that's what she thinks is appropriate, which is what 90% of dogs do. They just, in the beginning, they pull and you just walk behind them and you're like, oh, they pull so hard. But we're the ones reinforcing that that's okay. So especially with a little dog, it makes it real easy to just stop and remind her to calm down. Okay, now so even with a distraction, my cat's walking up on us and she's like all excited, I'm going to get her to go into a calmer state of mind. We don't always need to be moving forward. If that's too challenging for your dog, it's okay to help them out in whatever situation they need and vouch for them and work with them as a team to say, hey, I need you to do this instead of this. Okay, so passing by Fred, I'm just going to give her a pop right there as we started moving. So she's trying to break the box right now. That's right there. But we went slow. So right there, she broke the box. She tried to go behind me to get to him, right? Still. Pixie. Now this is just 2 fingers worth of pressure. And I'm going to hold that steady. Hold it steady until butt hits ground. That's the only time pressure should go anywhere. If she pops back up, see, pressure turned right back on, and she didn't even have to move all 4 feet. She realized right away, I'm not allowed to do that, even though the cat is just, inches from her face, right? So we have to learn that you have to be on calm state. Okay. And then I'm going to let her, if she's going to be too rough. So that's another good thing to learn too, is just because she's moving forward, like, okay, so if you don't need to do a heel with her, you're not taking this structured walk and working on something with her, and you just want to take her out to go to the bathroom, but you don't have to worry about it, having this really nice, perfect heel. Pixie, good girl. That's a good thing to learn how to do too, is what I call the lawnmower, which is when you're just out in the grass, like I let them go to the bathroom. She's not in a structured heel, but I'm not going to let her move forward with pressure anyway, right? So it's still super duper loose. And if she tries to go forward, that's all the pressure she needed to realize, right? She's learned what pressure means at this point. So if she tries to go forward, so like right there, let's say she tried to run after the cat. I would do like you're starting a lawnmower where you just go a quick on and off. Now with her, she's a little girl, so you don't need to do very much pressure. So not quite starting a lawnmower, but with her, just an on and off. That's all you really want. Just enough to say, nope, you don't get to move forward when there's solid tension. We only move forward when it's loose, regardless if we're in a heel or not. Now if I say Pixie, heel. Heel means get into this position and walk with me. Now we want to do, remember, pace changes, direction changes, and all those turns, all that good stuff. So those are the really important things that you want to remember. I'm also going to touch base on potty training. So potty training is all about watch and confine. If she is not in your sight where you're actively paying attention to her, especially when she first comes home for the next week or two, you have to make sure that you're not allowing accidents to happen. And you're going to do that by either keeping an eye on her, having her in her crate, or keeping a leash on her in the house where you can make sure that you see what she's doing. And if she tries to go to the bathroom, you already have a leash on her and you can get her outside fast. Having a leash inside is a really good thing, especially in the beginning, because you really have to reinforce all of your commands. So if you say sit, you have to make sure that she sits 100% of the time. If she learns 75% of the time she actually makes me do it, 25% of the time she doesn't make me do it, she's always going to test those waters and try and figure out, is this one of those times where she's going to let me get away with it? And you're going to have a harder time having them follow through if you don't reinforce things heavily in the beginning. So keeping that leash inside, keeping that leash on her inside is going to be really helpful. It's going to help you with the potty training. If you take her out to use the bathroom and she doesn't use the bathroom, sometimes she does poop twice, just a heads up. So like she'll poop like in the morning when we take her out, she'll go right away, and then she'll actually go a few minutes later again after we walk around. So keep that in mind. She might go twice. So take her out first thing in the morning. As soon as you wake up, get her outside. Take her out again after breakfast. I usually say about 15-20 minutes after they eat, up to 30 minutes or so, just kind of depending after they eat or drink. Make sure you structure her food and water. You don't want to have free feeding, no leaving free bowls of food down and she can pick and graze when she wants. That is giving her all of the power over resources, and it's letting her know that they're there for whenever she pleases, but you have to be the one that's in control of resources. So food goes down for 30 minutes to an hour, and then it gets picked up if she doesn't eat her meal. She's promised you dogs will not let themselves go hungry, so she will eat when she is hungry and she realizes the bowl goes up, so I better eat, which she's been doing for 3 weeks now, so she's gotten used to that, so it's no big deal. Same goes for water, especially when you're working on potty training. You want to remember what goes in must come out. So having a potty training log is going to be really helpful. I'm going to print one of those out for you because it's going to help you as a handler figure out what you're missing in your potty training. So you're going to mark down any accidents that she has, and you're going to eventually start to see a pattern forming where it's either always around the same time, or it's always in the same location, or she's never being caught in the act. So you're going to start to see, oh, if she's walking in the living room or in the dining room or whatever it is to poop, I probably need to pay attention to her a little better. Most of the time you're going to see it's going to be that she wasn't caught in the act. And that just shows you how important it is to watch her, because it's not about correcting behaviors that she's done wrong. It's about not allowing the behavior to progress and keep going on. So stopping a dog from using the bathroom in the house, the only way to do it is to stop them in the act of using the bathroom. If they have peed or pooped and then walk away from it, after that, that's it. You've lost your opportunity for reinforcing that, because then all you're going to do is teach your dog, one, if you bring them over to it and put their face in it, you're just teaching them that you hate poop regardless of the fact that it's inside. It's just you're putting their face in poop and you're mad about it. So that can reinforce that that your dog will start eating their poop because they don't want to get caught for using the bathroom. You also want to sorry, lost my train of thought there. But catching them in the act, you have to, so if you see her like circling around or whatever, there goes your watch and confine as well. If you're not watching her, you're not going to see this, and you're not going to get the chance to correct the behavior. She has had minimal accidents, I would say three poops in the house, two of which she was caught in the act. So that is really helpful. That's the only way they're going to learn that it's because I was using the bathroom inside. They stopped the behavior, and then I was brought outside with your leash. If you already have your leash on, that cuts out a whole big portion of it. You don't have to run and get your leash and wrangle her up and all of that. If you just see her and she's walking around in circles and she goes to squat, you can go, man, make a big noise, go over there, pick up the leash, and walk her outside. Don't pick her up if at all possible. Don't pick her up. She needs to make the connection between I was using the bathroom, I was stopped in the act, I walked outside, and I used the bathroom in the grass. Continue to keep praising her for using the bathroom in the grass. Make a big deal out of it. Let her know that's a good thing. You can also start marking down the time she uses the bathroom. Set a schedule. Don't go, she doesn't let me know when she has to go. Don't expect your dog to do that. That's a lot more difficult than people expect it to be. Your dog should actually be bladder trained, where they understand that we go outside at this time, and this time. They thrive on routine and schedule. It's like a kid, right? They will do a lot better if it's the same thing over and over. They will start to pick up on the fact that I don't need to use the bathroom in the house because I know that around this time I go outside and it's going to be less of an accident because you weren't keeping a consistent schedule, right? So if you mark down the times that she's using the bathroom, you're going to be able to kind of pinpoint, hey, I need to get her out at this time, this time, this time. If when you do take her out, I'm not sure of your yard situation, if she has a fenced-in yard, or if you take her out on leash only to use the bathroom. But if she's on leash, you want to make sure that you're not giving her a ton of freedom to just walk around and think that this is an opportunity to just sniff. I usually like to stay in remotely the same areas that she goes to the bathroom every time, so she starts to pick up on the fact that when we're over here, it's the only reason we go over here is when I use the bathroom. And then as soon as she finishes, I walk out here and I start taking her for a little walk on the street. So make sure that you're bringing her to the same places. Make sure that you're really reinforcing, yes, good job, that's what I wanted. When she does use the bathroom, keep her on a routine and a schedule as far as potty break times and food and water times. Watch and confine. Make sure that her crate is the appropriate size. She should have a pretty small crate, just big enough that she can make a circle, lay down comfortably, and I usually have enough room for her bowl of food and water. I feed her in her crate. If they're in there, I usually give them a non-rawhide bone or a toy to play with. That's all fine. She can do whatever she wants while she's in there. That's kind of like her bedroom. She's going to see it as a positive place. You want to associate a lot of positive things with your crate. You want to use it when you're home. Don't just use it when you're leaving. She will start to pick up that she only goes in here when my favorite person in the world leaves me, and she's going to think of it as a negative place. If you use it as as punishment for doing something wrong, like going to the bathroom in the house after the fact, you're just making a negative association with the crate and you're not helping anything, right? So make sure that you're making it a positive place for her. Make sure you use it when you are home, when you just need a break from watching the dog all the time, right? Especially in the beginning, it's a lot to keep up with, and make sure you're doing exactly what you need to be doing. So you need breaks, you need time. If you're not calm, cool, and collected, we can't expect her to be calm, cool, and collected, right? She's going to mimic your behavior. If you get frustrated, she's gonna run and hide. So that's not gonna help anything. So give yourself time to relax if you need to. If you're getting frustrated, don't forget to practice and do homework. The more work you do with her as far as practicing recalls and sit stays and placing and waiting at the door, doing all that, you're really building a good relationship with her. You're really showing her that, hey, I'm in control here. I got your back. I'm here for you. I'm going to vouch for you. It makes her feel a lot more comfortable and confident. She's going to feel a lot more confident in the commands if she's done them repetitively with you over and over, to the point where she's just like, yeah, I know what that means, right? Don't forget to practice placing her on different objects. The more textures that you can get her to work on, the better. It's good if she has a little bit of height, like I said in the last video, because she has to make the clear option to jump off the object, as opposed to just kind of taking a step off a towel or a blanket that's just flat on the ground. That makes it a little bit more challenging, but that's the kind of stuff you want to work up to. You want to work up to adding distractions in. Pixie doodle. All of that good stuff. Practice bending down, patting your legs, kissing noises. Remember, the only two things I will not use as a distraction is, one, her name. You can't be like, Pixie, Pixie. That's not fair, because everything starts with her name. She's going to expect you're going to say something after that. That's going to be challenging at this stage and at this age. So no using her name as a distraction. Kissing noises, patting your legs, who's a pretty girl, any of that, that's fine. You can practice all that. Just don't go like, Pixie, what do you do? I wouldn't do that. And then 2, don't say come here, because come means stop whatever you're doing, come and sit at my feet. So that's not really fair, because you're using it as a setup. But like I said, adding treats into the mix, dropping things on the ground, use your leash inside. Don't be scared to use the tool that she has been working with to train. Don't expect her to do all this stuff off leash. You would have to use an e-collar for that. I don't personally think that she really needs an e-collar. I think you could easily get her to an off-leash stage. I'm going to give you a long line anyway, so you can have a 20-foot long line to give her room to run around and roam and do what she wants, and you can practice doing recalls at a little bit of a distance with her and still have a way to reinforce it. But don't try and do commands with her without having this lifeline on you. It's like learning to ride a bike without a helmet, or learning to drive a car without wearing a seatbelt. So don't do it. If you're going to practice your commands with her, put your training tool on. Make sure you have that as a way to communicate with her. Don't expect her to do English as her main source of communication. It's just not how dogs work, unfortunately. So, I think that should be about it. You always have my number if you have questions about anything, of course. She's done a really great job. As far as like sleeping in the bed and everything, she's done good. We've practiced having her sleep in her crate and letting her sleep in my bedroom because I know you want her to be able to sleep in bed with you. So she's done really good with that. Just remember, if she's kind of make like your bed a chill zone. Don't play with her when you're in your bed. Only play with her when she's off the bed. That way she associates when we're in bed, we're calm. And if she starts to get hyped up, you can tell her off, which is basically replaces the word no, and you're just going to change your tone. You're just going to say, Pixie, off, right? Instead of like, oh, Pixie, what you doing? Who's a pretty girl? You can go, Pixie, off. Okay, so she really understands, hey, no, I'm not doing this. That's not what I want. And if she still gets too much, just put her down on the floor. And if she starts jumping up and she's being rude, then you put her in her crate. So freedom only comes when it's earned. You shouldn't give her all the freedom in the world and then take it away when she doesn't do it how you want her to do it. Set a precedent of this is what I expect from you on a daily basis. And if you do that, I'll start giving you more freedom to enjoy doing more things out and about. She's only 1, so she's at a great age to really make sure that you're showing her that this is what you expect of her in your relationship going forward for however many years little Pixie's with us. So I think that should be a good little handle on the main things that you're going to want to focus on. But yeah, like I said, you always have my number. Please feel free to give me a call or a text if you have questions about anything at all. And yeah, I'm sure we won't see you very often, but we will sure love to hear how little Miss Pixie Doodle's doing. Yeah, so say bye, Pixie. We'll see you soon, Mama.